Well, good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Opportunities for All, a very socially distant conversation with 4-H alumni. My name is Xavier Bell. I'm the 4-H agent here in East Feliciana Parish, and I'm extremely excited to have this opportunity to tonight to speak with four 4-H alumni from across the state of Louisiana. Who have joined us on tonight. This Opportunities for All, and it is National 4-H Week with the theme of Opportunities for All. So without further ado, I'm going to allow each panelist to introduce themselves. We have Dr. Gina Eubanks, Dr. Paul Carell, Miss Brandy Keller, and Mr. Jalen Thomas. And we are going to introduce ourselves in that order.
Good evening to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Gina E. Eubanks. I'm a 4-H alum from East Feliciana Parish, from Clinton, Louisiana, Rileyville community. My project area was public speaking and sewing, tailoring at that point in time. My current occupation, I serve as the Associate Vice President with the LSU AgCenter. Okay.
Thanks, Jeannie. Xavier, you want to just jump in?
Yes, you can just jump in.
Good evening. My name is Paul Carell. My 4-H career was in Evangeline Parish in Ville Platte. I was a club member in a school, a Catholic school, Sacred Heart Catholic school. Being in 4-H was the thing to do when I was in school. Everybody joined 4-H. And it was so important to our educational mission and learning, and we just loved being in 4-H throughout the school system. In my career, I've worked for the LSU AgCenter and the Sea Grant program at LSU for about 35 years and retired. And then I was interim chancellor at LSU Alexandria in Alexandria, Louisiana for a year. And then I retired and tried retirement for about 5 years and failed, and came back as chancellor again at LSU Alexandria, where I'm currently chancellor, university that is part of the LSU system. We have 3,500 students, and it's a wonderful place to work. And Dr. Eubanks is a lot younger than me, but we were in 4-H maybe at the same time. She was just a little younger.
My name is Brandy Keller. Recently married. I was in St. James Parish 4-H growing up. My whole 4-H career was in St. James Parish between Gramercy Elementary and then Letcher High School. During 4-H, I was heavy into leadership, just enjoyed being part of the club, public serving, service learning, all of that. I served on the citizenship board and truly enjoyed it. And then now I'm a teacher. I teach a mixture of 7th through 12th grade math and STEM, and I truly love it. And 4-H has brought a lot into my job, and I just love reflecting back on that and how much 4-H has brought me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jalen Thomas. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I am from St. Mary Parish, grew up there all my life, went to Baldwin Elementary School, Boudreaux Middle School, then transferred to Hanson Memorial, where I went to middle and high school, and was heavily involved in leadership throughout my 4-H experience, as well as photography when it came to parish fairs and stuff. I had the pleasure of serving on the state executive board as a national conference delegate for 2 years. And I was also heavily involved in the performing arts, performing during the summer, during the 4-H Got Talent competition, winning it my senior year. Also, throughout my 4-H experience, petitioned essays to try to get to now State Performing Arts Board adopted. At the time, it wasn't a thing, and I don't think it became a thing until my senior year. But that's the gist of my 4-H experience is leadership and performing arts.
Well, I want to thank each of you again for joining this conversation. There are a set of questions that I do have for you that we'll get into, but understand the conversation that we have may steer off from what the pre-planned questions are. So understand that we can go off the rail if we do see that there's a conversation that we want to have within this hour that we do have together. But before we get started, I'm going to share my screen again, and there's a video, a PSA that was conducted by National 4-H Council, what it means to be opportunities for all. Jennifer Nettles, who is the spokesperson for National 4-H, is the one who's narrating this video. So let me share my screen.
In 4-H, we believe talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. And the gap this is creating between our kids is only getting wider. There are many causes, but it mostly comes down to race, what their parents earn, and where they live. This can mean less investment in schools, in after-school programs, and in community services. It's all made worse by unequal access to education, technology, healthy foods, and the mentors who inspire our young people. The recent pandemic has pushed some kids even further behind. It's time we provide opportunities for all our kids. It's time to invest in their potential so they can help our communities and our country thrive. Not in the future, right now. We believe nothing should hold a kid back. And if we all pull together, nothing will. Visit 4h.org today and join us.
So that was a PSA that was conducted by National 4-H Council, which to me kind of highlights what it is that National 4-H is trying to do when it comes to opportunities for all, which leads me into the first question that I have for the panel today, which is, when you see the word opportunity for all, what does it mean to you? It doesn't matter which order we go in. Whoever wants to unmute their mic first can take a shot at it.
I'll go ahead and start. Being involved with 4-H as in a professional level, when I was with the AgCenter, and also running a parish office. I was parish chair in Cameron Parish. I think one of the biggest things it means to me is that money is never an obstacle for people who belong to 4-H. I think a lot of organizations, the entry fees or joining fees can be very prohibitive, and it automatically closes the door immediately. So it's got to be either really affordable or there's ample scholarships available to support membership, which includes activities like camp or going on trips. It can't be something that only rich people can afford. Those experiences are probably more needed for the poor families than they are for some of the rich families that may have a lot of opportunity. So that's what it means to me, is making sure it's affordable and making sure that there has to be an entry fee. You got to have revenue to help run programs. But if you have scholarships available that doesn't prohibit or stop anyone from being part of it, that's very, very important. And I know we always try to make sure camp, someone that couldn't afford to go to camp was never denied going to camp, for instance, or being a member of 4-H. That's what it means to me.
I can go ahead and hop in. For me, it hits home a lot, because for me, 4-H, what drew me to it was how diverse it was. There was something in 4-H for everything and everyone under the sun. If you wanted to sew, you could sew. If you wanted to do STEM, you could do STEM. If you wanted to do performing arts, you could do performing arts. It didn't matter if you were Black, it didn't matter if you were white, it didn't matter if you were gay, it didn't matter if you were straight, it didn't matter. None of those things mattered. All it mattered is that you were a young idealist. you had a heart of service, and you had a heart that wanted to give back and grow and give into your community. And I think what 4-H does is it takes those people and it snatches them and it does not let them go. And it creates pockets of inclusion for multiple groups. And it's just an overall diversifying experience unlike any other. I can tell you some of my most fondest experiences growing up in my young career was going to camps, was going to those leadership training events, competing in those local, state, national competitions. Like those were the things, those were the moments of exposure that I grew from in my educational experience. And this, I can say I would not be the person who I am today if it was not for those vast opportunities that 4-H provided me. I come from very rural St. Mary Parish. In the very early parts of my education, I attended public school, very under-resourced public school in the Baldwin and Jeanerette communities. And it wasn't until I was in high school was I able to go to private school and experience those luxuries that you get to experience when you go into private school. But up until that experience, all I had was my agents. I had the privilege of having 2 agents, got to shout out Jenny and Adriana, because if it were not for them, I don't know what else there would have been for young Jalen. Like 4-H is what gave me the foundation, and even more some to do what I do and to do what I do today. I don't think I said it earlier, but I work with Organized Florida, and I'm in charge of their leadership training academy here. And I'm a programs manager there. So that's what I currently do. So it all trickled down, and it just goes back to how diverse 4-H is as a program and the multiple ways that it can give back to young people.
I guess I'll go next. If you come to my office to let you know what 4-H means and when I think of all, I still have the badge, my last badge. I found it when I was moving around, and I pulled it out and I hold on to it. It was a 4-leaf clover. The person who signed it, last name was Cox. That's been a minute ago. He was the director of for extension. But Jalen, you took all my words, because I come from rural Clinton, Louisiana. And all to me means all. It means not only the resources, but when you go, it's a sense of belonging. It's a sense of respect for who you are. You come with the skill set that you have, knowing that after you have been in 4-H, and I was in it the whole time. I joined when you, at the age that you can join, and did it all the way through high school. And today they tell me sometimes the kids might get out in high school, but I still wanted it, in high school. But all is all. Everything that it takes in order to help a young person grow up to be a productive citizen. And that's what it means. Whatever it takes, you meet them where they are. Not everybody is going to come with money. Some people are going to come with just talent. Some people just gonna come with a yearning to learn. So when they come, that's what you do. You meet them where they are. And Jalen's giving a shout out for his agent. I had the best agents. One of my agents is gone. His son right now is an ag agent. Andre Brock's daddy was my agent. And for Andre Brock's daddy come pick me up from my house in a rural Black community, this big, tall, white man, that said a lot. Because neither one of my parents drove. neither parent drove. So in order for me to participate in 4-H, they had to come get me. That's what I'm talking about, meeting you where you are. And they did. It let me know I could compete with anybody and anything. I look at my 4-H camp picture when I have it, when I was a camp counselor. Myself and Alfred Douglas were the only 2 Black counselors. When you look at the picture, you can see us. There were other Black 4-Hers there, but we were the only 2. But it's all or nothing.
And I agree with everything that's been said. It's definitely an all-inclusive community. 4-H is just willing to, it just opens up to everybody and feel accepted. Growing up, a lot of friends around town, I didn't necessarily feel accepted, but you get into 4-H and you're accepted for who you are. And I made so many friends that I never would have met had I not been in 4-H. So definitely just whenever I think I think accepted. It's an opportunity for everyone to find somebody new, to even experience something new. And it's offered to everybody. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter what you can get. It's something that everybody can do, no matter where they are. Like everybody said, it they meet you where you are. You don't have to grow to be in 4-H or grow to be something better. It's just something that they take you and they help you grow to reach better heights and take you from where you are. You don't have to be excellent already. That's what they make you do.
So, just to add to what it is that y'all are already saying, I wasn't in 4-H from 4th grade to 12th grade. I actually took a break in between the 6th and the 8th grade. And the reason why I took a break is because the school was like, you can only pick 2 clubs to be in. And 4-H started to be a part of, I think, the same day as drama club. So I was like, I'm going to drama club, not 4-H. But I will always see, and I credit my 4-H agent, Joe Barron's father, for everything that I've been able to experience. But every time I go in the store, I see Mr. Joe, and I will always say hey to him. But the reason why I joined 4-H in the 4th grade was because of camp. So that I can remember the times when the 4-H office in Concordia Parish was inside the old courthouse, and the library, it's on the 3rd floor of the library, which means the summer reading program was taking place. And then all of a sudden you see everybody coming around and you see people loading buses. I'm like, what they doing? But I remember the day they came back, I would like go in the bathroom of the old courthouse just to see the kids get off the bus and that level of excitement. I always told my mom, I was like, I want to go to 4-H camp. So I joined 4-H in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade so I can go to 4-H camp. And then the 7th and 8th grade, that's when I was trying to figure out who I was and who I was going to end up being and who I wanted to become. And then something triggered inside of me and was like, you missing something. And so I rejoined 4-H, and I was told the various opportunities and that I could participate in. So at that point, that's when I joined. I didn't see myself being in leadership positions and doing different things in 4-H. My 4-H agent was that person who kind of pushed me and say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And that's what interests me. And a lot of people really don't know is I actually was almost going to school for music education. At one point in time, I wanted to be a band director. And I can remember me practicing, I can remember practicing how to conduct a band. I actually conducted the band in high school. I was a drum major. I did all this other stuff. I practiced to become a band director. But in my senior year of high school, that's when I applied to go to LSU. And the reason why I applied to go to LSU was because of 4-H. So me having those experiences of actually seeing campus during 4-H University, speaking to the board of directors my senior year, talking to Dr. Richardson and the president of LSU at the time, like having those type of experiences led me to want to become a 4-H agent. And now when, people see me, they always see Mr. 4-H. I do this with 4-H, but I'm also a high school basketball referee in hopes to become a college basketball referee. And somebody once told me, and I was in Nap Hall when they said this, and I've ref there children's game before, and it was like, you know, everything that you do, you have kids involved, and you're a person that can mix and mingle with anybody, no matter the situation. And basketball referee is one of those where you got to have a calm demeanor, can't show facial expression, which I'm working on. But you know, having those experiences led me to do the things that I'm able to do in life. And that's why I enjoy waking up every morning and driving to Clinton, to East Feliciana Parish, to work for the youth in this parish. So thank y'all for contributing to that, the various 4-H experience that y'all had that led to who it is that you are. But as 4-H alums, you know, we talked about the various opportunities that we had in 4-H that contributed to who we are as an individual. If you can go back to one of your 4-H experiences, go back in time, and change one thing, what would it be, and why? Brandy, we'll start with you on this one.
If I could change one thing, I probably, kind of like you, Xavier, I kind of took a break my middle school years just because new school, learning new things, wasn't really pushed to be involved. So I kind of took a break, like I think it was like my 8th and 9th grade years. And then I saw citizenship board, and I saw the state boards, and I'm like, ooh, that seems really cool. And everybody else is giving shout outs. So giving a shout out to Mr. Ken, he just kind of pushed me to try new things and kept encouraging me. And so if I could go back and change one thing, it would definitely be to make sure I had a stronger start, like that 9th grade year, so I could have been involved on a higher level for more years and get more out of it. So I would have started earlier. That's the one thing I would have changed.
Dr. Correa, would you like to add?
Looking back at 4-H, there was a drop off in high school participation. And I guess if I could change anything, I would have stayed more active as I got closer to college, because I learned later, working closely with 4-H in professional life, 4-H can be so crucial to making decisions on post-secondary education, whether it's technical, community college, or 4-year institution, and career development. And I think 4-H does a better job now of interesting older high school kids, looking at their careers and decisions to go to college, or decisions to look at their the whole rest of their lives. And there was no collegiate 4-H back then. And I really think collegiate 4-H can be a big part of keeping that older 4-H student involved, because they can see they can continue that activity into college. So that would be the thing I would wish I could have done more activities in high school.
Dr. Eubanks?
I'm trying to think. You know, I was one of those folks from that rural community that I didn't have a lot of other things to do. You know, a lot of people ask me, did you play basketball? Well, I'm kind of clumsy. Even though I'm tall, I can't play basketball. Wasn't sports. So I guess when I think about 4-H, I didn't participate the summer between graduating and going to college. And I think that I could have. And I think that may have been the thing that I wanted to do, because my senior year, I won alternate in tailoring. And the goal I set by the time I finished 4-H was to win that tailoring contest. I did win the Sew with Cotton contest, but I wanted to win the tailoring contest. Jean Cloyd, who's the instructor from EBR, he came up to Clinton on Saturdays and taught us how to sew. But so I think participating that senior year, between when I graduated from Clinton and entered Southern University, would have been something that would have capped off the whole career. So yeah.
Jalen?
I think if I could go back and do one thing different, it would be, well, not really different, but it would be participating more in livestock. It was the part of 4-H that I always ran from. Because going back to our previous question, there were so many opportunities to do all of the other things that I wanted to do in 4-H. The namesake that it was known for, livestock, I always ran from. When we had the parish fair, I would always ask my agents, can I be put in charge of something to do with the camaraderie cooking, or with the homemaking, or with the photography, like put me inside with the air conditioning. So being I had a lot of friends who participated on the livestock side of things, my club, Hanson, like I would say 93% of the entire club participated in livestock, in the parish and state livestock events. So it's like, I really wish I could have, even if it was something simple like chickens or rabbits. I think that would have been fun to lean in on those things.
And a lot of, during this conversation, we talked about the gap and trying to get more high school age youth involved in 4-H. Do y'all have any suggestions as far as what we as 4-H agents can do to help get older youth involved in 4-H and to see these opportunities that we do have? Jalen, do you want to go take this one first?
Yeah, I think I can. I think being as early exposed to the leadership opportunities and the extracurricular / out of state / going to camp experiences for the adolescent age, getting them exposed to that as quick as possible, and giving that as much that we give the promotion of 4-H camp for our younger kids. I can say, if it weren't for being in junior leaders, in my junior leader club, and just being as involved with my agents as I was, I don't think I would have been exposed to those experiences if I weren't in the office as much as I was. Like, I feel like there was, yes, it may have been mentioned in like our monthly and weekly newsletters and stuff like that, but I just feel like it was just, oh, we have set camp. And it was like, okay, cool, but what is that? Like, I only knew those internal workings because of the close relationship that I had with my agents. So maybe just a way of exposing them as much as possible, as early as possible, to maybe help with that retention in like years 7, 8, 9. And maybe that'll continue with their participation in clubs and state boards and 4-HU and X, Y, and Z in their high school years.
It's funny that you just mentioned about it being in the newsletter. So I actually, before I got on this, I actually had a junior leader meeting outside of my office. And everything that I said during the junior leader meeting was in the newsletter. But people were like, so what is that? And then I had to explain it. So like you just reiterated it. So, and I was telling about the various opportunities and what they can do, because they was asking, what do we do at the Lost Camp? You go to 4-H University, go to JLC, you do a record book, you do this, this, and this. But, a lot of times it's not just because it's in a newsletter, it doesn't mean that they get it. Dr. Carrell, do you want to add anything to this?
The comment I made earlier, I'll just reiterate. And I guess when you're the chancellor of the university, you start realizing a lot of students don't know what opportunities are available. Some of the rural high schools don't even have a counselor, a guidance counselor. Some don't have physics teachers and chemistry teachers. And so I see 4-H as having to be that window to opportunity, particularly for schools that don't have the resources to expose kids to, what can they do, what's available. I'll give you a good example. Plant pathology. How many students know what the heck that is? Well, LSU's got a plant pathology department. So we need to make sure they know what are the career opportunities. There are wonderful career opportunities in plant pathology. You can make a lot of money, you can help the world, feed the world. But I never even heard of plant pathology till I was well into college. But I may have been a plant pathologist if I knew more about it. Agronomy, entomology. I mean, people kind of may know what it's all about, but I guess I just see LSU and Southern University as having so much connection to the broader world. We're going to have to bring that to that rural parish better. That's what I think we need to do better. And the counselor can't do it because she or he may not know. But we're the storefront to the world in the extension service and in 4-H. And I really think that that's a way to make sure that all these different career opportunities, particularly in the sciences and the math and the chemistry, where these students get very little opportunity to really excel. So it's just a window that I think we need to widen, and with the flagship universities at Southern and at LSU, that's why they're land-grant universities, because they are the leaders in the state. Now, it doesn't mean other universities can't get involved, like McNeese or other schools, LSUA or whatever. And I work very closely with the AgCenter here because we're next door neighbors. But that's the only thing that, as I look back and now that I work at a university, I meet a lot of students that are in dual enrollment or thinking about college, and they don't even know the degree opportunities or what they mean. And I think we're missing a lot in the sciences because they don't know.
Brandy, would you like to contribute?
I want to piggyback on what Jalen said, just getting the exposure a little bit earlier, and then hyping up all the wonderful things that 4-H could do and the extras that 4-H could provide, such as out-of-state trips or prizes, scholarships, etc. I feel like as long as we can get that early on and show the kids, hey, you can go to Disney World for free if you win this competition at 4-H University. I mean, that was one of my favorite things in 4-H, my senior year, winning and being able to go to Disney for free. And people were like, you're going to Disney? Like, why? Well, because I'm going with a whole bunch of 4-Hers that we all won competitions. So just showing them that it's not just all work, that there is a lot of play that happens and a lot of just great friendships, being able to meet people from across the state, and then being able to do out-of-state things as well, going to National 4-H Conference, going on trips, going here and there, and then also doing stuff in the state and just being able to show them like, hey, you can go have dinner at the governor's mansion. You can attend 4-H University and attend these classes or compete in these competitions, and just showing them all the different fun things that could actually happen and getting them exposed to that earlier, I think is a way that we can hopefully keep some of these high school students involved and get more high school students involved.
Dr. Eubanks?
I guess I would say what all the others have said with regard to the involvement, the leadership. But I guess one different angle of helping high schoolers to remain involved would be the parents. Okay. My mother really didn't know what 4-H was, but she knew it brought me joy. She knew I liked it. And she would encourage me, you know, and everything. You know, when I would win a contest, I'd come home and show her what I'd won and everything like that. So it's not just the child or the youth. That's an important factor. But the parent has to be a contributor to encourage the individual to remain involved, especially in this day and time. Because when I told you when I was in Clinton, 4-H, it wasn't a whole lot of clubs I could join. Kids in this day and time have so many different clubs that they can join. So, and I guess I believe that parents can help to influence or have a say in what, you know, young folks are involved in. And especially if you do it early on, involve them in leadership and let them see. Even let the, like Dr. Correa said, let the parents see that agriculture, family and consumer science, those are great careers. You know, you can go into, and the diversity of the careers. So you allow the parent to also see that, because every parent wants their child to grow up and to be productive and have a good life. And a good life means being a citizen and having money, you know, and belonging to different organizations once they get out. But yeah, involvement of the parent as well. And especially for limited resource or individuals that come from less than neighborhoods where 4-H may not have been as popular, allowing that parent to understand it as well. That's how my mother learned of it. She didn't participate in 4-H. She wasn't a 4-H alum. She learned of it through me.
We talked about, you know, what if we can go back in time, what's one thing that we can change? And I like to be positive. So if we can go back in time and relive our glory days in 4-H, what's one event or activity that you will want to participate again, and why? Dr. Eubanks, we're going to start with you on this one.
That tailoring contest, so I could win. I want to go back and participate in the tailoring contest because I want to win. That was, you know, and I won a lot of contests, but that tailoring contest, this day, I still have the outfit. I don't have the outfit, but I have a picture of the outfit that I made. Back then, double knit was popular. That lets you know how old I am. And I'll never forget, the shirt, it was pink and brown, and it had an octagon shape. And I had to match those octagons. Jean, the instructor, she said, now Gina, you went out and bought that. You know you're gonna have to match that, huh? It's like the players you have on, Brandy. If you'd have bought that, you had to match that. So that means you had to buy extra fabric, lay it out just so. But yeah, I'd go back to that. That's a heyday. I'd go back to, y'all call it 4-H University. I'd go back to 4-H short course. That's what it was called when I was there. And I want to participate in that tailoring contest again.
Dr. Correa?
I specifically remember that in 4-H, the big thing to do is to do a demonstration. I don't know if y'all do those anymore, but we would have big competition parish-wide and do demonstrations. It was very competitive. We had distinguished judges, and you had to give your demonstration and be judged. Growing up kind of in Cajun culture, a lot of us cooked. The men cooked, the women cooked, but the men left to cook. I did a lot of food demonstrations in 4-H. I did chicken queuing, I did biscuit baking, and I think 2 others. And I learned how to cook. I learned how to hone in that skill of cooking through 4-H. If I could go back, I would love to go back and do my biscuit baking demonstration, because I came out second, and I know what we did wrong.
Yeah.
And if I tell y'all, I don't want to tell y'all what happened, but it messed up the whole demonstration, but we still came out second. The biscuits were good, but we really enjoyed the competition. It was friendly, and I can just, in my mind, I see the video of us doing that demonstration, and I can see my mama not laughing, but wanting to laugh the whole time we did the demonstration, because she saw the mistakes we were making, and we didn't even know we were making mistakes. But great times in 4-H. I mean, it was good, wholesome competition that made us better people, and we didn't even know it. That was the secret of 4-H. It's making you a better person, and you don't even know it's happening.
Jalen?
I mean, really echoing what everyone else said, 4-H University and the competition aspect of 4-H University, but not just 4-H University, but I think for me, it was everything that encompassed what went into 4-HU because of the many hats that I held within 4-H. So 4-HU wasn't wasn't just going to 4-H University for 3 days like it was for certain 4-Hers. For me, because I was an executive board member and a national conference delegate, I had to go 2, sometimes 3 days earlier beforehand to prepare. But then you also had Governor's Mansion, which was tied into that, which you also had 4-H Day at the Capitol, which was tied into that. Plus you have, being in junior leadership, you are in charge of your junior leadership cohort and kind of helping them get trained and ready to go to 4-HU in their competitions. And because I helped out in the office with my agents so much, it was being there during the summer, on top of the time that I was there during the school year after school, helping people with their competitions, doing all of that. But then I also have my own competition, which was my big performance that I led up to every year I was in high school. Like, it was just something that I look forward to every year. And I was fortunate enough to place Blue Ribbon all those years. So I was able to participate in the 4-H Has Talent competition in front of everybody. So it's like there were so many different things happening during 4-H University. You had board interviews. I was a voting delegate, so you had those things to attend. 4-HU is just this big circus of fun scholarship / leadership development that it was just this spectacular that I, along with everyone else who I worked alongside of, I'm sure, looked forward to every year.
Brandy?
I mean, of course, 4-HU was awesome. I definitely enjoyed like the dances at 4-HU and just fellowship time with one another. But if I could go back, I would want to go back to my summer board meeting for Citizenship Board. Just growing that bond between me and other board members, getting to know new people, enjoying time at the State Museum or staying up late and watching movies or having fun, joking around, just being able to join together and just do a lot of work during that time, but also a lot of play and be able to have fun and just goof off and stay up late those nights and then get up early the next morning as if it was nothing. And it was just a really great time that I would love to go back to and love to just see everybody again.
I know for me, if I can go back, it'll probably be the car ride to my 4-H agent. You know, him picking me up and taking me places, and that conversation we had in the car. And then we both love basketball, so we talked basketball a lot. You know, I will most definitely go back to that. And he's somebody I can call on to give advice as a professional. And then if I can go back and change one thing that most definitely I would go back and do so. In 2014, I had the opportunity to go to Citizenship Washington Focus in DC. Couldn't go to it because of the price, and I didn't find out until the end, like when the money was due. But in college, I was able to intern in DC for CWF, and actually working it and actually seeing what the program is about is like one of the programs that I hold very close to my heart, that I want kids to participate in. And unfortunately, you know, I was very excited to have 2 kids from East Feliciana actually be accepted to represent the state for CWF Presidential Inauguration Edition. But due to COVID, it's been canceled. But I was excited as an agent to see 2 kids have that opportunity to go and have an experience of a lifetime. But speaking of COVID-19, and you know, it has changed a lot and how we operate and how we do day-to-day tasks. You know, 4-H agents, you know, in the state of Louisiana, we are co-curricular with the school systems. Schools are allowing kids to have kids hybrid, 100% virtual, 100% face-to-face, which, you know, are challenges that we as 4-H agents have to maneuver and figure out how can we still provide a meaningful opportunity for youth to have a 4-H experience like those people who were in 4-H when it wasn't COVID. So, you know, I guess my question to you to the panel is, what advice and what encouragement do you have for the 4-H agents who may be listening, of 4-H professionals, of how to handle and deal with COVID-19 and still provide a meaningful experience for 4-Hers to participate in? I'm gonna start with Brandy on this one.
My advice would just be to stay strong. Hopefully one day we'll be past all this COVID stuff and we can get back to normal. But until then, just stay strong, keep on the path, try your best to get as many involved virtually or however you're able to do it, whether that's sending a piece of mail just so the kids are excited because they have mail, or sending out texts, just checking in. Just try to stay involved and stay up to date with what the kids are doing. I know it's very tough as a school teacher. I'm seeing it on the front lines. And so I know it's tough, and it sucks that we can't necessarily have 4-H like we have in the past. But I think as long as we stay strong, 4-H can honestly come out even better afterwards, because we can virtually show all these things. I mean, this past summer, I know they did 4-HU virtually. And I'm sure that was a great experience just to see it all and to kind of see what happens. So I think this could be honestly a great marketing strategy for 4-H. So in the end, we could possibly have even more 4-Hers together with us, just because they're seeing or hearing all of the cool things and great things that 4-H has to offer.
Dr. Eubanks?
When you ask that question, and I think about it, having been at the AgCenter, and I have a responsibility for FCS agents. And the one word that I keep saying to them is flexibility, being flexible. We are, when you think of corporate extension, whether it's A&R or whatever, it comes to the point you want to touch, you want to see, you want to look at the person, and talk with them face to face. But in the COVID right now, we're not going to be able to do that. But remaining flexible and meeting individuals where they are. If a student cannot get on virtually, you may have to meet them at the library to share something with them. Socially distancing, practicing everything's there. So one word, you gotta be flexible, because I know that a 4-H is core curriculum with the school. And so we are accustomed to going into the school, delivering the program, but that can't happen right now. And so you're flexible in the delivery of the program, when you can do the program, if the school's gonna let you do the program, or what. So all of that's there. And that can be very frustrating when you've done something one way and you're good at it. Then you have to learn all over. With the FCS agents, I've been saying to them, it's a new day. I used to say it's a new normal, but it's gonna be the normal for us for a minute. Flexibility.
Jalen?
I would say two things. The first thing I would say is you use this more as an opportunity to reach more students, and don't see it as a hindrance of reaching the students that you may have, the student population that you already were reaching. I would say use this to capitalize on the whole opportunities for all thing. Like we in 4-H have all of these opportunities. Maybe be strategic in going into those rural schools and those rural communities that don't have physics, chemistry, horticulture, all of those different things. Maybe we offer these things in 4-H, come to a virtual meeting and we can provide this. That's just another way that we can reach those students that you would not typically reach. So just using this more so as a tool and don't view it as a hindrance. And I would also say, I forgot my train of thought. Come back to me.
Dr. Carell?
Well, we're dealing with the same thing, as the campus at LSU that has students in a traditional face-to-face and then hybrid and online. I don't think we're going to ever go back to where we were. The online format has fast forwarded and is not going to go back. 4-H is going to have to evolve, take advantage of that platform that reaches so many students. Now, there is a little bit of an issue with rural broadband and connectivity in rural communities. We got to deal with that, and 4-H can help with that. There's no doubt about it, particularly in the rural parishes that don't have the connectivity that's needed. But there is coverage in more and more areas, but some people can't afford broadband costs. It's pretty expensive. I just hooked up at Lake St. John, and you know where that's at, Xavier. And $79 a month plus tax for me to have broadband at my camp. That's expensive. And some families have struggled paying 80 or 90 bucks a month to have broadband where you can see video and, you know, get all the impact of the internet. But that being said, it will improve, but 4-H is going to have to take advantage of the growth that's going to take place because of COVID. And we have students already telling us, even if a vaccine comes out, we want to keep doing hybrid classes. They don't want to go back. Now, they like the face-to-face, but not all the time. They want to do a hybrid part of that. And I think 4-H is going to be the same way. So you're going to have a lot more virtual project activities, and you're going to have to take advantage of that. And agents are going to have to be prepared to meet those demands because they're going to be there. They're going to have the experience. They're going to be comfortable with it. And they're going to look for 4-H to do the same thing they've learned through the COVID-19 advancement of internet-based learning.
Jalen, did you have your thought back?
Yes, I do actually. So it brings me to this thing called I had the privilege of working for this organization called City Year, and one of the cultural pieces at City Year is known as Starfish Story. So what Starfish Story is this story about this man who he's on the beach and he notices a person down by the shore, and the beach is full of starfish. The person is just sitting there chucking starfish after starfish after starfish in the water. And then the man goes up to the person and he asks him, "Why do you keep throwing these starfish in? It does not matter." And the person replies to him, "It may not matter to you, but it matters to this one." And I think that that's the perfect metaphor for what 4-H is, for what 4-H could be, and what 4-H was for me. Is that I was that one. I was the one that my agent picked up and threw back into the water. They took me, cared for me, poured into me, and threw everything that they could into me and threw me back into the water. Yes, there are thousands, millions of starfish that are on the land. And that's true about the world that we live in. Racism exists, homophobia exists, poverty exists. All of these systemic inequalities exist in the world. Those are the starfish that you see out on the land. We know that there's an overwhelming need. But what 4-H does not do is 4-H does not stop, and 4-H does not give up, and 4-H does not never says, this is enough. And that's what I would say to those agents, is to do not give up. Just because COVID is a thing, just because we have all of these physical limitations and restrictions, just because we live in this new normal, do not give up. Be tenacious, be steadfast, continue pouring into those students because it will pay off, it will matter. We are all sitting here as living witnesses to that thought.
You know, talking about, you know, speaking of like COVID, oftentimes at the 4-H, I've always heard that extension evolves with the times. And I feel like I'm able now to be a part of a time where extension is evolving to meet the needs of its clientele, 4-H in particular. COVID happened, you know, we have virtual options, and y'all mentioned Virtual 4-H University, which was an event that we had 1,500 students turn completely virtual and still had just about the same amount of people competing with fewer contests. which is something, you know, from the state 4-H office to the extension agent, 4-H agents out there, to pull that off in 3 months when we had to transition it was something to be seen. And I had the opportunity to work behind the scenes with the nightly assemblies and the virtual dance, which was the first time I ever done a virtual dance, but apparently that's a new popular thing now. But, you know, having that opportunity, and then, you know, just think about, and we talk about making a program equitable, and Dr. Correa mentioned the broadband connection in rural parishes, working in East Feliciana. I do, you know, I find that broadband connection is an issue for some youth that I serve. So as an agent, to me, that means I still have to offer in-person meetings, but as y'all mentioned, I still have to go out and reach the youth in order for them to have the experience that they need to have in 4-H. And Jalen mentioned capitalize on the time that we're currently in. I was saying that back in April, as far as, you know, this is a time where we can jump ahead and be that organization that changes and that meets the needs of the youth, and capitalizing on reaching people that we normally don't reach. You know, we look at these reports and we see an administration, you know, thinking about financial dollars that contribute to our program. It's you know, looking at a number, and the 4-H's that I serve aren't just a number to me. They're a human being. There's somebody that's attached to it. But I understand, and I'm a type of person, I don't stay at the status quo. Like, I might do something one time, but there's gonna be some tweak the next time. But seeing, you know, I mentioned this before we got started, was I am in a parish where I basically am building it from scratch. So my first year on the job was me analyzing the program that I currently have. And I looked at trends, I looked at the numbers, I said, okay, what has happened? What did we offer in East Feliciana before I got here? My end goal, and on my board off to my side, I have a to-do list, goals, and events and camps and contest ideas that I may have. But I'm always steadily, and I think other agents across state is the same way, is we always want to improve in what it is that we're doing. Enrollment. We always talk about the numbers are low and this is low and that's low. But COVID-19 has allowed us to have an experience and an opportunity to get those kids that we normally would not be able to reach. Go into those schools, find those rural students that you normally wouldn't reach. We talk about demographics. In a parish, on a parish level, we may be 50-50. Then when we go to state and regional events, the demographics are lopsided. You know, this is the opportunity, a time where we can see what it is that our program and try to revamp it, so we can be a much better organization after, or in the meantime, and years beyond. But it is past 8 o'clock, and the last question I have for you, in one word, describe 4-H. Dr. Eubanks goes first.
Exciting.
Dr. Correa.
Opportunity.
Brandy.
Amazing.
Jalen.
Scholarship.
And to me, 4-H is much more than one word, but I do, as the 4-H agent here in East Feliciana Parish, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your night to be a part of this conversation. It has been a joy to talk to each and every one of you, and actually to catch up with some of you that I haven't caught up with in years. And it's just so wonderful to see everybody, you know, talk about their 4-H experience, and allowing other people who are involved in 4-H, who may not be involved in 4-H, see this is something that my child or somebody that I know can be a part of. And those opportunities that we offer in 4-H are limitless, and there's something for everybody. So I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your schedules to do so. To the Facebook world, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I hope you tune in tomorrow for our next conversation, and that conversation will involve 4-H professionals, and that will kick off back on Facebook Live at 7 o'clock p.m.
Good night.